Live from KSAT 12. The 6 o'clock news starts right now.
Well, it has been a long, dry spell, but there's a good chance of that changing tomorrow. We're looking at our best chance of good rain we have had in a while. Meteorologist Sarah Spivey will let us know when that rain will move into South Texas and the hill country down to the hours, coming up in just a few minutes.
The Harlandale ISD, not the only school district thinking about a 4-day school week. Now the Lavernia ISD School Board is meeting tonight to talk about that idea.
And that if that were to happen, it would have an impact not just on students and teachers. Lee Waldman joins us live from Lavernia this evening. Lee, tonight we get to hear what students, teachers, and parents, that's a big input there, what they think about this idea.
A meeting is happening in just about 30 minutes. The school board will hear the results of 2 focus groups meetings talking about this. The parents, teachers, business members, campus and district administrators were all involved. Now, according to an agenda posted online, the group looked at student data, including attendance and testing performance information. A parent survey also found almost 47% would be in favor of a 4-day school week. Third said no, and almost 20% answered maybe. The main concerns centered around adding time to the school day and year, quality or loss of instruction time, and childcare. We talked to some parents ahead of tonight's meeting.
I'm for it. I know some of the challenge with the district was having retention. Being out here, some of the teachers that don't live in town and have to commute makes it a lot easier on them. As a parent, and having an extra day with the kids at home, I think is great.
For the kids, I haven't seen the benefit, so I'm not convinced yet, but I kind of sit on the fence. I'm not saying absolutely not, but I'm just not totally for it yet.
The agenda says tonight's meeting is to share this information with the board in order to prepare them for a vote next month. Now, coming up tonight in the Night Beat, we'll bring you all of the highlights from tonight's meeting. Live in Lavernia, Lee Waldman, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Lee. We've learned the name of the man shot and killed after an argument last night on the city's east side. The medical examiner identifying him as 28-year-old Brandon Lamar Caldwell. Police started their investigation last night at an apartment complex on Lavender Lane near South W.W. White Road. When police arrived, they found the victim with multiple gunshot wounds. He was pronounced dead at the scene. At last check, police had not made any arrests.
Shocking testimony in the first day of the Andre McDonald trial. He's accused of the 2019 murder of his wife, Andreen. Today, testimony about an alleged confession from McDonald. Erica Hernandez takes us inside the courtroom for what was an unexpected beginning.
While much was known about the murder of Andreen McDonald, in day 1 of the trial, unexpected details were heard during opening statements. Prosecutor Steve Spire telling the jury about all the evidence collected, including finding online searches Andre McDonald allegedly did on his phone.
How long does DNA last outdoors? Do you always leave fingerprints? Does fire destroy fingerprints? How long does it take for an unburied body to decompose? Do maggots eat cooked meat?
The defense not saying much during their opening, only that McDonald did not commit murder.
It's about responsibility. He has taken responsibility, but it's simply not murder.
It was during the state's first witness, Andreen McDonald's sister, that the court learned that just 3 days ago, Andre McDonald allegedly called his sister-in-law and wanted to tell her and his mother-in-law the truth about what happened to Andreen.
Did he stomp her multiple times?
I am assuming that he didn't use the word multiple times.
While he was stomping on Andreen when she's on the ground, did he say if anybody saw it?
Elena.
Who's Elena, their daughter?
Yes.
We also heard from other witnesses this afternoon, including Andreen's friend and her mother, Maureen Smith, who was living with the couple at the time Andreen allegedly was murdered but was not home that specific night. Testimony will pick up tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. You can watch it live on KSAT.com, KSAT Plus, and KSAT's YouTube channel. Erica Hernandez, KSAT 12 News.
A family of 7 needing another place to stay tonight after their home was damaged by a fire last night. San Antonio firefighters responded to that scene just before 11 o'clock last night on Wingate Avenue. That's not far from Frio City Road and Highway 90. Firefighters were able to contain the fire to the back of the house. 3 adults and 4 kids and a dog made it out safely. Fire officials say the Red Cross is now helping them out. The cause of this fire is being investigated by an arson team.
A woman in the hospital after police say she was hit by a car on a busy street. Her next stop could be jail. As Katrina Weber reports, police believe she committed a crime just before she ran into traffic on the city's west side.
In the middle of Culebra Road near Benrus Boulevard, San Antonio police began investigating what seemed like a simple crash. They say a man and woman both had been hit by the same car around 10 last night. The 39-year-old man wasn't hurt, but the woman had to be rushed to a hospital. Through their investigation, though, police found out there was more to the story. They believe the two were fighting and somehow ended up in the car's path. Although the 64-year-old woman was the more seriously injured, police say she isn't exactly a victim. Police believe this whole thing started with a car burglary. They believe the woman broke into the man's car and he was trying to stop her. The fight that followed spilled out into the street. Police say the driver who hit them stopped after the crash and is not facing any charges. But that may not be the case for the woman, who police have labeled a suspect in the car burglary that triggered all of this. Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
Let's take a look at traffic out there right now. We're going to take you to the camera I-35 at Brooklyn. You can see both the upper and lower levels here. Traffic really slow going in both directions as cars approach 2 big interchanges here. The traffic coming towards us, approaching there the I-10 interchange, and then going away from the camera, Highway 281 and 37. No real reason that we know of for this traffic. Could just be a very busy 6 o'clock commute. New at 6, a report revealing serious problems with the Texas Child Protective Services removal process is now the basis of a new bill that was just filed. It would require far more intensive training for CPS caseworkers. The bill's author told our Courtney Friedman how weeding out unnecessary cases would free up time to focus on serious abuse.
Last legislative session, a DFPS report was released showing over 50% of the people who appealed child removals got the ruling overturned because of investigative mistakes.
So then the question is, why are they getting it wrong so often?
CPS case consultant and former investigator Carrie Wilcoxon believes it's a lack of training.
Right now, the training is a 2-day training around forensic and interviewing techniques.
So she wrote House Bill 1289, which would require instruction on 14 things, including the definitions of abuse and neglect, explaining guardians' rights to record interviews and appeal findings, and understanding how to identify potential relative placements before a hearing. It would also require investigators to pass an exam before working cases.
There was one in particular that we worked on where the mom, tested negative several times, and the children were still removed from her.
District 119 Representative Elizabeth Campos was one of many legislators interested in the bill, but she got to sponsor it.
Those investigators, they have a lot on their plate. If they're inexperienced and they're not getting the support, it's not their fault. Again, it's leadership.
And while they're bogged down by what the report shows to be a lot of unnecessary cases, seriously abused children are slipping through the cracks. Courtney Friedman, KSAT 12 News.
It's officially tax time, and if you want some help sorting out deductions, the credits, the W-2s, there may be help available, and it's free. VITA, the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program, is up and running in 12 area sites. You can find those on our website. To qualify for VITA's help, your household income last year should be $55,000 or less. They expect to be busy. Last year, they helped some 22,000 people maximize their refunds and file electronically.
That brought in about $38 million in tax refunds to those participants, which is, of course, money that's put back into the local economy. And they also saved more than $3 million in preparation fees.
Heads up, a lot of people's refunds will be smaller this year. That's because some of the tax credits that were expanded to help through the pandemic are now back to 2019 amounts.
Look outside with live cam this evening. I'm betting these chilly temperatures caught a lot of people's attention today, but there is even more to pay attention to in the forecast. Sarah Spivey.
Rain, sweet rain. We desperately need rain around San Antonio and South Central Texas, and it's looking good for rain. Now, the timing should be early tomorrow morning through the morning commute and into the early afternoon. Some impacts, that morning commute is going to be damp, so plan accordingly. And we will have a few storms embedded with the rain as well, so we'll be watching for at least a strong storm or two. But in the afternoon, it'll become very windy behind that front. We'll see west gusts of up to 35 miles per hour. That may make the mountain cedar go up. Mountain cedar is moderate at 110 and molds are low at 230. I'll be back with that rain timeline hour by hour tomorrow, coming up in a few minutes. Myra.
All right, thanks, Sarah. We'll see you then. What is school choice? That's what we're diving into in a new KSAT Explains.
It used to be you either went to the neighborhood public school that your specific neighborhood was zoned for or paid to go to a private school. But now there's a range of options.
And all those choices can be overwhelming. So in this KSAT Explains, we're breaking down the school choice options in Texas, plus the ongoing debate over using public money to create private school choice. What ideas lawmakers have proposed. KSAT Explains is at 6:30.
I'm Stefania Jimenez, and here's a sneak peek as to what we're working on for you tonight on the Night Beat. After several major floods, people in Bexar County know where the water can rise. We'll discuss the new maps that could change the floodplains and also what homeowners need to know to prepare for potential floods. Plus, the newest hot commodity reportedly crossing the border, the warning from U.S. officials, and why it could cause potential smugglers or what it could cost them if they're caught. Those stories and a lot more tonight on the Night Beat.
Thank you, Stephanie. Well, the Food and Drug Administration today proposing to make COVID shots a lot more like the annual flu shot, simplifying the process to one shot a year. The FDA will decide on Thursday whether to go forward with the idea, and at the same time, researchers are working on a new flu shot that will be a lot more like a COVID shot. Ursula Perry with how new technology is working its way into old vaccine protections.
The COVID pandemic required scientists to move fast, bringing vaccine technology that had been studied for years but not approved front and center.
And I think that when the world had an urgent need for vaccines, when SARS-CoV-2 virus hit that causes COVID, then it became an opportunity to test this new approach to vaccine development.
Traditional vaccines put a weakened germ into our bodies, but mRNA shots like the Pfizer and Moderna COVID-19 vaccines teach cells to make a protein that triggers an immune response if someone gets infected. Researchers take that mRNA template and can encode it for the flu or other infectious diseases. It would also make it easier to tweak during flu season if there's a different dominant strain that's circulating.
It's a technology that can be deployed pretty rapidly.
Dr. Obu Agu says the mRNA flu vaccine would not necessarily be better than the traditional shot, but it does mean more people would be protected.
Remember that some individuals do not tolerate the already approved influenza vaccine, so this gives them another option.
The mRNA vaccine for the flu is currently being studied, and we could have the results as soon as March. Meantime, other studies are underway on other vaccines for other diseases, including Lyme disease, rabies, HIV, and even Zika. Ursula Perry, KSAT 12 News.
All right, let's take a look outside with Sky 12 flying high above the Tower Life building here downtown. The wind's blowing, but we got some rain to talk about, which is a good thing.
Yeah, is that all related? Is that the front coming through that we're seeing the wind, Sarah?
We're seeing some southeasterly winds, so that's actually prepping our atmosphere, giving us some of the moisture that's going to eventually become rain early tomorrow morning. So it is going to be windy throughout the evening hours here for us. But let's go ahead and take a look at how the day was today. It was a rather cool day around San Antonio. Our high temperature was only 59 degrees, which is a bit cooler than average. But waiting on in the west is a trough of low pressure swirling across parts of New Mexico and Arizona. And this is going to place itself just perfectly for us to finally see some rain here in San Antonio. And this is going to be a big system, not only for San Antonio, but for the state of Texas. In fact, there are winter storm advisories and winter warnings all across the Panhandle and even into extreme northern Texas, right around the Red River, Oklahoma, Arkansas, all going to be getting snow from this system. We will not be seeing any snow, but we really need the rain, and that's what we're going to see. So let me take you through the futurecast. This is a snapshot right around 10 o'clock. We could have some light rain showers west of San Antonio around 10. As we head closer to midnight and into the overnight hours, I do think we could see a little bit of rain in the pre-dawn hours here in San Antonio, just some light rain. So as you're sleeping, you might have Mother Nature's sound machine outside with just a little bit of that light rain. Then as we head closer to dawn, that's when we'll have more organized scattered activity, just rain showers around San Antonio. Closer to the morning commute, though, we could end up with a few rumbles of thunder as well. Again, it's going to be pretty scattered in the early morning hours as you're heading out the door for your morning commute. So know that there will be probably some issues on the road, so plan accordingly. And then as we head into the mid-morning hours, that front is going to move through. And once that front moves through, that's when we're really going to have a lot of the energy in place. And I think we'll have more organized thunderstorms right around 10 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning. We'll be monitoring for some stronger storms, but it really does look like the severe risk is east of San Antonio. But it's right around 10 o'clock, too, that we could get pockets of heavier rain as well around San Antonio in the metro area. Then closer to noon, right around lunch, skies are going to start to clear around San Antonio, and the heavier of the storms will be east toward Gonzales, Cuero, Lavaca County, Karnes City. The area, ranchlands across those areas will get a lot of healthy rain, potentially even some severe storms as well, with damaging wind gusts being the main threat east of San Antonio. Then by the early afternoon, we're going to see nothing but sunshine around San Antonio, and all of that rain will be pushing off to the east of Texas, and we'll be done with the rain for the day. But I do have to mention, again, there is a risk for severe weather east of San Antonio. Anywhere you see this dark red color, that's where there could even be some tornadoes tomorrow in the afternoon. That includes areas like Victoria, Bay City, and even Galveston. Notice that here in San Antonio, we're technically not under the highlighted area for a severe risk, but as often happens here, we're going to be watching closely if one of two of those storms flares up. If they do become strong, the main risk there would be straight line winds, but we'll keep an eye on things. The really good news from this is that we're going to see some healthy rain, up to 3 inches of rain east toward Houston and Galveston, but around our eastern counties, Gonzales, Hallettsville, Cuero, 1 to 2 inches of rain, and in San Antonio and around the metro area, 1/2 inch to 1 inch of rainfall is a safe bet. Make sure that if you do get some rain and those rain gauges, send in pictures for us, because we can go ahead and add those onto a KSAT Connect, and that'll be a really great feature. Please do that. We'd love to show those on air. Otherwise, here's your KSAT 12-hour forecast. Waking up tomorrow, again, there will be scattered rain. It's going to be chilly in the 40s. Right around the mid-morning hours, that's when we'll have some storminess, and right around noon, that's when skies are going to start to clear. We'll have sunny skies in the afternoon, and it's going to get windy. Pay attention to these wind gusts in the afternoon. We could see wind gusts of up to 35 to even potentially 40 miles per hour in the early afternoon hours. And now as you look ahead to the rest of the week, cold in the mornings. We may even have a light freeze on Thursday morning. Cool in the afternoons with sunshine, high temperatures near 60 degrees, guys.
Bring on the rain.
Bring it on.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah.
All right, always interesting after a loss to see how the owner responds when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys. Greg, clearly, I think Jerry Jones thought they were going to win this game.
Well, yes, I think a lot of people did. They thought this was probably their best shot in the last, 27 years to returning to the NFC Championship. But interceptions aside, what was the turning point of this game? I think we will all agree the injury to that young man right there, and it happens in a contract year of all things. And the frustration of this loss boils over at the end. Coming up.
We've got a locker room full of sick players and coaches to go along with literally hundreds of thousands of Cowboy fans that are sick.
Jerry, obviously,
I'm sorry.
You heard that? I'm sorry. Jerry Jones actually apologizing for the Cowboys' poor performance against the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC Divisional Playoffs and Big Board Sports. But first, it is game day. Our San Antonio Spurs open a 3-game West Coast road trip tonight in Portland, followed by back-to-back games in Los Angeles before returning home to host the Phoenix Suns. That's 4 games in 6 nights, and they are coming off a hard-fought 131-126 loss that saw former Spur Kawhi Leonard ignore the boos and score a season-high 36 points against his former team. The young rookies like Jeremy Sohan have been forced to go up against the league's best players right out of the gate. Veteran Josh Richardson recalls some of his first matchups when he was a rookie.
My first matchup was Lou Williams, and I didn't play for 40 games. Then my second matchup was Steve Blake, who gave me 20 in my second start. Then I saw Steph Curry, who gave us 40. I saw John Wall the next game in 2015 when he was still in Washington. And these were all my first starts. So, I mean, you just got to be ready for whatever.
All right, now he gets to help out again tonight. 9 o'clock tip time, early highlights for you tonight on the Night Beat.
Pro football coverage, powered by Davis Law Firm.
As much as Dak Prescott throwing 2 more interceptions in the 19-12 loss of the San Francisco 49ers wrecked their chances of advancing to the NFC Championship game for the first time in 27 years, so did the injury to running back Tony Pollard. Most everyone felt this was the turning point in the game when Pollard was dragged down by Jimmy Ward, and as you can see, his ankle give. At first, it was diagnosed as a high ankle sprain, but after being carted off the field, it was revealed he fractured his fibula that will require surgery and 3 months rehabilitation. What makes it even worse, it comes in a contract year.
I mean, losing Tony was obviously a shot. Tony is probably clearly one of our most, if not the most productive player.
He's a special teammate, a special player, and obviously, that one hurt. Hurt us. Wasn't able to create as many explosive plays as we planned. I'm sure he would have been a big part of some of those had he not gotten hurt.
Now, also during the game, all eyes were on the kicker, Brett Maher, after he missed 4 straight extra points in the wildcard game. And his first attempt against the 49ers was blocked, even though it looks like he was going to pull it left anyway. It prompted this response from Texas Governor Greg Abbott in a tweet that went viral last night. "I swear I can kick as good as a Dallas Cowboys kicker." But all of this seems to be pale in comparison when it comes to the last play of the game. A goofy formation, if you look closely, features Ezekiel Elliott as the center, who just gets pancaked before Kevontae Turbin gets dropped in his tracks, and that's ball game.
I really don't want to get into detail of it, but that's obviously wasn't the plan, So, I mean, it's obviously a gadget player or whatever. It's a last play situation call that we practice. So.
The frustration clearly boiling over after the game for head coach Mike McCarthy, who's captured by this Associated Press photographer of appearing to shove the camera of a Dallas broadcast photographer. The photographer, by the way, is Noah Bullard, who works for the Dallas NBC affiliate, and he tweeted this after the incident. "I can see how the photo appeared like he pushed me, but it was more of a hand to the lens. I did meet with Coach McCarthy privately in his office, and he did apologize." But clearly the frustration was evident.
Yeah, from top to bottom in the Cowboys organization, it seemed like.
Yeah, and again, we bring back Amari Cooper's departure. That certainly didn't help.
Yeah, thank you, Greg.
Up next, what is school choice in Texas? And should your public tax dollars be used to pay for a private education? We're looking at both big questions in a new KSAT Explains next.
It is National School Choice Week, a time to make parents aware of all the options they have when it comes to picking the best school for their child.
But what are those options in Texas? We break it all down in this KSAT Explains, and how some lawmakers are trying to use tax dollars to make changes to those choices.
It used to be that kids went to a public school dictated by where they live, or parents paid up for private school. But these days,
it becomes pretty overwhelming.
Anna Collins is mom to 7-year-old Bo.
The thing that I like about school is PE because I get to do it every day.
Bo's learning journey is only just beginning, but Anna found out that she had a lot to learn too when it came to school choice.
He needed a place that was very encouraging and had a lot of flexibility, but still offered some structure.
So the family started looking around.
I had no idea how many options there were.
You know, there's still a lot of great private schools, free public options, public charter schools that are tuition-free, hybrid schools that have like some homeschooling, some private schools, magnet schools, and there's actually in-district charter schools.
Inga Cotton is the founder and executive director of San Antonio Charter Moms.
When my son was about 3 years old, we found out that he was on the autism spectrum, and we realized that trying to find the right school for him was going to be a lot harder than we expected.
What started as a blog 10 years ago is now a nonprofit helping families navigate school choice and hosting events that connect families with options.
School choice is the concept that families know their children the best, and they can look at a range of different schools and education settings and find what's the right fit for them.
In 1995, state lawmakers approved the creation of public charter schools in Texas. They don't have to follow the same state laws that traditional public schools do, according to the Texas Education Agency, that allows for more innovation and flexibility. But state law does require charter schools meet certain financial and academic requirements. They're open enrollment, meaning anyone can attend, no matter where they live, and students are selected by lottery. Charter schools are mostly run by nonprofits and get funding from the state, but they don't get money from local property taxes.
So the state has a formula, and it's super complicated, but it basically, what they try to do is kind of average out how much are the traditional public schools getting from the local property taxes. The state averages that out and then comes up with a formula to kind of send that money to the charter schools from the state, not from the local property owners, to try to balance it out.
So there's free public school choice options in Texas, but private?
This goes back decades.
It's been a debate among Texas lawmakers for years, often referred to as a school voucher program, using public dollars to help parents pay for a private education. And this legislative session, lawmakers are back at it, faced with new proposals like Senate Bill 176.
It would create an education savings account program that would allow parents who opt their child out of public schools to get that money to then spend on private school tuition or online schooling or even private tutors. So it amounts to about $10,000 a year.
There's also House Bill 619, which would give tax credits to people who donate to private school scholarship funds. House Bill 557 would reimburse parents who pay for a private education.
The last time we saw a huge school voucher bill was in 2017 in Texas, and that bill did pass out of the Senate, but was killed in the House by actually House Republicans.
The biggest opposition to private school choice options in Texas is often rural representatives. Public schools tend to be key parts of their communities.
So even though broadly it's thought of as a more conservative issue, an issue that conservatives are in favor of school vouchers, that's not necessarily the case in rural parts of Texas.
But things have changed since the last legislative session in Austin, a pandemic fueled by frustrations among some parents over things like masks and vaccines, added to a cultural shift in COVID's wake. And it's not just a Texas thing.
This kind of falls under this larger umbrella of issues that is really kind of gaining steam nationwide. There's a lot of momentum around this whole parental rights kind of bucket of issues, which includes everything from what school library books should be available to children to how schools should talk about race.
The legislative session just got underway. We'll have to wait and see what happens with those bills. But for the Collins family, they made their school choice through a lot of research.
I kind of compiled all these questions. I listed what their specialty was, how far from the house was it, is it really drivable for us?
How do you deal with wiggly kids? What is the percentage of returning families to your school?
They eventually found the perfect place for Bo.
He loves the school. He's excited to go to school.
But they learned that timing is key when it comes to selecting a school.
When you're applying for school choice in schools and, even private schools, that happens about a whole semester ahead of schedule and sometimes further.
Sometimes a family will try to make a decision the summer before their child would start a different school. And unfortunately by then, a lot of schools have already held enrollment and they've already held their lotteries. So the fall is a really good time to start your research.
And tap into resources that can help guide you.
Explore the options because sometimes you'll find something that it just feels like this magical fit.
San Antonio Charter Moms hosts School Discovery Day events where families can come meet people from various schools and ask questions. You can find more information about that at sanantoniochartermoms.com. We also have a link posted within this story on our website. Scan this QR code to get there. That's where you can check out any of our KSAT Explains coverage. We'll be right back.